Everyone knows the stereotype. Tiny body, huge attitude. Some people even call Chihuahuas the most aggressive dogs in the world. But here's the question. Are Chihuahuas actually more aggressive than other dogs? Or have we been judging them completely wrong? Because once you understand what's really happening inside that tiny head, you'll never look at a barking Chihuahua the same way again.
If you've ever owned a Chihuahua, you've probably heard it. Wow, he's mean. Typical Chihuahua. They're all aggressive. It's one of the most common myths about this breed. But is it actually true? Today, we're separating fact from fiction. We'll look at what science says, why Chihuahuas seem more aggressive than many larger breeds, the mistakes owners accidentally make that create defensive behavior, and one surprising reason that has almost nothing to do with the breed itself. By the end of this video, you'll know whether Chihuahuas really deserve their reputation, or whether they're one of the most misunderstood dogs on Earth.
Where the aggressive Chihuahua stereotype came from. Let's start with the obvious. If you ask 10 people to picture an angry dog, several of them will imagine a tiny Chihuahua barking behind a fence. So where did this reputation come from? Part of it is visibility. A Chihuahua's first response to uncertainty is often loud barking. They're alert, they're vocal, and because they're so small, they rely heavily on warning signals instead of physical force. Imagine you're barely taller than someone's ankle. Every stranger is enormous. Every unfamiliar dog could accidentally injure you. Every loud noise feels bigger than life. Wouldn't you become extra cautious too? For many Chihuahuas, barking isn't aggression, it's communication. They're saying, I noticed something, I'm uncomfortable, please stay back. The problem is that humans often interpret these warnings as pure aggression, but there's a huge difference. Aggression is usually the final step. Warning behaviors come first, and Chihuahuas are actually very honest about giving those warnings.
Are they really more aggressive? Now let's answer the question everyone wants to know. Are Chihuahuas actually more aggressive than other dogs? The answer is, it's complicated. Behavior studies have found that some small breeds, including Chihuahuas, score higher for behaviors like barking, snapping, or growling toward unfamiliar people or dogs. But here's the part that rarely gets mentioned. Those same studies cannot always distinguish between true aggression and defensive behavior driven by fear. That's a massive difference. A dog trying to scare something away because it's terrified is not behaving the same way as a dog seeking conflict. Think about it this way. Imagine someone twice your size corners you. You shout, you wave your arms, you tell them to back away.
You tell them to back away. Are you aggressive or are you scared? Many Chihuahuas spend their lives surrounded by creatures hundreds of times their size. From their perspective, the world can be a pretty intimidating place. Why people treat Chihuahuas differently? Here's something fascinating. People often train big dogs, but they excuse bad behavior in little dogs. A Labrador jumps on someone? Immediate correction. A German Shepherd growls? Owners take it seriously. A Chihuahua growls? People laugh. They call it cute. They pick the dog up. Or worse, they tease the dog because they think it can't actually hurt anyone. Imagine if every time you said you were uncomfortable, people laughed. Eventually, you'd probably start shouting louder. Many Chihuahuas learn that subtle signals don't work, so they skip straight to barking. Some owners unknowingly reward this behavior. The Chihuahua barks at visitors, the owner immediately picks it up. The visitor leaves, the dog learns barking solved the problem. Without realizing it, people reinforce the exact behavior they don't want. The little dog syndrome myth. You've probably heard the phrase small dog syndrome. It's everywhere online. But here's the truth. Dogs don't wake up thinking they're giant wolves trapped inside tiny bodies. Behaviorists generally avoid the term because it oversimplifies what's really happening. Most so-called small dog syndrome is actually a combination of several factors: fear, lack of training, inconsistent boundaries, being overprotected, poor socialization, and owners accidentally rewarding unwanted behaviors. The size of the dog isn't creating the problem. The environment often is. That's an important distinction because it means the behavior can improve. Quick question. Has anyone ever called your Chihuahua aggressive just because they barked? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you're enjoying videos that explain Chihuahua behavior without repeating old stereotypes, make sure you subscribe. Every week, we dive deeper into what these incredible little dogs are really trying to tell us. Now, let's talk about the biggest reason many Chihuahuas become defensive. Most owners never even realize they're doing it.
Fear is often the real story.
This may be the biggest surprise in today's video.
Many behaviors people label as aggression actually begin with fear. Think about everyday life for a Chihuahua. They're constantly experiencing situations where they have very little control. Dogs communicate discomfort gradually. First, they avoid eye contact. Then they freeze, maybe lick their lips, turn their head away, yawn, then growl. Only after multiple warnings are ignored might they snap. The problem? Humans often miss the early signals. We notice only the bark or the bite, not everything that happened beforehand. Many bites happen because people ignored several polite warnings first. That's why learning canine body language is one of the most valuable things any Chihuahua owner can do. When you recognize those tiny signals early, you can change the situation before it escalates.
What confident Chihuahuas look like. Here's something you may not expect. A well-socialized Chihuahua is often incredibly confident. They explore. They greet people calmly. They recover quickly from surprises. They don't need to bark at every moving object. Confidence doesn't mean silence. Some Chihuahuas are naturally talkative. That's perfectly normal. The difference is emotional. A confident dog barks, then relaxes. An anxious dog stays on high alert. One lives with curiosity. The other lives with constant worry. Building confidence takes time. Positive experiences, predictable routines, gentle exposure to new environments, respect for the dog's boundaries, and plenty of opportunities to make safe choices. Confidence, not punishment, is often the real solution. Let's end with one idea that changes everything. Imagine the exact same behavior performed by 3 different dogs. A Chihuahua barks, people laugh. A Border Collie barks, people assume it's alerting. A Rottweiler barks, people immediately become cautious. The behavior didn't change. Our perception did. Because Chihuahuas are tiny, people often underestimate how real their emotions are. Fear feels just as intense. Stress feels just as overwhelming. Frustration feels just as powerful. The only difference is the dog weighs 6 pounds instead of 60. Here's another interesting thought. If Chihuahuas were the size of Labradors, owners would likely spend much more time training them. People would respect their personal space. They would notice early warning signs. And many of the behaviors associated with the breed might become far less common. Sometimes the biggest challenge Chihuahuas face isn't their personality, it's how humans respond to their size. Once owners start treating them like capable dogs instead of fragile accessories, everything begins to change. The Chihuahua becomes calmer, more predictable, more trusting, and often much quieter.
So, are Chihuahuas more aggressive than other dogs? Not necessarily. They're often more vocal. They're sometimes more defensive. And because of their tiny size, they're frequently misunderstood. Many behaviors people call aggression are actually communication, fear, stress, or repeated attempts to create distance. When owners recognize those signals, provide consistent training, respect boundaries, and build confidence, instead of simply stopping barking, amazing transformations can happen. Behind that loud little bark, there's usually a dog that's simply trying to feel safe.
The next time someone says, Chihuahuas are just aggressive, you'll know the truth is much more complicated and much more interesting. If you enjoyed this video and want to understand your Chihuahua on a deeper level, don't forget to subscribe and become a member of the channel for extra Chihuahua content, behind-the-scenes updates, and exclusive tips. And also, visit my newsletter link is in description. Thanks for watching. Give your tiny best friend an extra cuddle from me, and I'll see you in the next video.